All right, so you're thinking about diving into the world of weight loss, huh? But let's be real. Who actually has time to, like, read all those articles and figure out what actually works?
Yeah, it's a lot out there.
It's overwhelming. And that's where this deep dive comes in. We're tackling lasting weight loss strategies.
Mhm.
And not just from anyone. We're going straight to the source, the Mayo Clinic.
Oh, I love it.
So are you ready to break it down?
Absolutely. You know, what I really appreciate about their approach is it's not just about like fitting into a smaller size.
Mhm.
It's about like a whole life change, you know?
Yeah.
It's about being healthier overall.
Yes, that holistic approach.
Yeah.
Love that. And speaking of building that foundation, the Mayo Clinic, they start with this really interesting question. And it's, are you actually ready
Oh,
to lose
yeah.
the weight?
It's about being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot deeper. Like, they ask these questions in this article that are really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Like, how's your stress level? You know, do you turn to food for comfort? Oh, interesting.
Because those are things that, if those are the things that are going on, maybe you need to address those before you jump into some, like, crazy diet plan or something.
It's almost like checking in with yourself. Like, wait a minute.
Right.
Is my head in the right space for this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they even talk about support systems. Like, are you comfortable sharing your goals with other people?
Oh,
You know?
interesting.
Or do you need to, like, do you work better on your own? Do you kind of need to be private about it? I think that's a really good question to ask yourself.
It is because, I think sometimes we can overlook that. But just having that support system, or even just one person, can make a huge difference.
Huge.
So you've checked in with yourself.
Yeah.
You're mentally prepped.
Yeah.
The next thing the Mayo Clinic really emphasizes is finding your why.
Yes.
And it's got to be, bigger than just fitting into, like, those old pair of jeans in your closet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be something, it's got to resonate with your core values.
Like, why is this important to you? Because I think when you have that it's a lot easier to make those healthy choices because it's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, because when that late night cookie craving hits,
Right.
you need something strong to combat it. And they have this example in here. I thought it was interesting. This idea of, like, posting motivational notes to yourself.
Right.
Which, I don't know, it sounds a little quirky, but
It's about finding what works for you.
yeah.
Because some people, they're really public and they share their journey with everybody and that keeps them accountable.
Right.
And other people, they do it. They're a little more private about it.
Yeah.
It's all about like figuring out what works for you.
Yeah. Finding your own rhythm. I love that. Okay. So we are mentally in the game.
Yes.
We've got our why. It's fueling us. Now it's on to the actual goals.
Okay.
And I have to say, I appreciate the Mayo Clinic's approach here. No crash diets.
No.
No crazy restrictions.
We're talking sustainability, like slow and steady wins the race, that kind of thing. They recommend like 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week,
Okay.
which, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you do that consistently, it really adds up.
And is there a reason why they focus on those smaller increments?
Well, I think part of it is just like the slow and steady, making it something that you can actually sustain. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times people, they try to do too much too soon and then they get discouraged and they give up.
Right. It feels overwhelming.
Yeah. But also, even small amounts of weight loss can have a really big impact on your health. Like they were saying that if you can lose just 5% of your body weight,
Okay.
that can significantly lower your risk of developing type 2 diabetes,
Wow.
improve your heart health, like even small changes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, like, the number on the scale. You're actually really impacting your health.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's about your well-being overall. And to kind of help people achieve those goals, they make this really helpful distinction between what they call action goals and outcome goals.
Okay. I've heard those terms before. Break it down for me. What's the difference?
So an outcome goal is kind of the big picture, right?
Okay.
Like, I want to lose 10 pounds.
Okay.
That's your outcome goal. An action goal is, okay, what are the specific things I'm going to do every day to get to that 10 pounds?
Okay.
Right. So, instead of focusing on the number so much, it's like, what are the actual actions I'm going to take?
I love that.
So-
Because it feels much more manageable, right? You could actually wrap your head around that. It's like, okay, instead of drinking soda today, I'm going to drink water.
Exactly. Like, those are the things you actually have control over, right? You
Oh.
have control over what what you eat, what you drink, how much you exercise. You don't have control over the number on the scale.
You don't have as much control.
Right.
Yeah.
So focus on the things you can control.
I love that. Okay, so we're feeling good. We're, mentally there. We've got our goals set. Now, I have a feeling the Mayo Clinic has some good strategies when it comes to the food part.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the good news is they're not talking about bland salads and like flavorless meals.
Okay.
They actually talk about how you can still enjoy your food.
Okay, good, good, good.
It's about making healthy choices that you can actually sustain, right?
Yes.
Because if you don't like what you're eating,
It's not going to last.
it's not going to last. Exactly.
So they're not about, like, cutting out all the good stuff, right?
No, they're definitely not about deprivation.
Okay, good.
It's about like, finding a way of eating that you can actually sustain.
Right.
Not just like, oh, I'm on a diet for the next 2 weeks,
Yes.
Think like colorful plates, lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains.
Okay.
It's about nourishing your body, but also enjoying what you eat.
That sounds a lot more appealing, I think, than what some people picture when they hear healthy eating.
Right.
But how do they make it stick long term? Because that's the thing.
Right.
Everyone can, like, eat really healthy for a week.
Exactly.
But how do you make it a lifestyle?
Well, and I think one of the things that they emphasize is like understanding the why behind the food choices.
Okay.
So, for example, they talk about fiber, and we've all heard about fiber.
Yep.
But like understanding how fiber helps you feel full longer so you're not as likely to, have those like snack attacks later.
Right. It's like you're arming yourself with the knowledge to make those good choices.
Exactly.
True.
And, they don't just stop with the what of eating. They also talk about the how with this concept of mindful eating.
Okay. I've heard that term a lot. I'm not going to lie. I'm not always sure I know what it means.
Yeah.
Is it just like chewing more?
It's definitely more than that. So they talk about like putting away distractions. So like, no phones at the table,
Wow.
no TV, really trying to like be present with your meal and like, pay attention to the taste, the texture of your food and really like tune in to those hunger and fullness cues.
That's a good point because I know I'm like notorious for eating dinner while scrolling.
Right. It's so easy to overeat when you're not paying attention.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still hungry. Well, because I didn't even like enjoy what I was just eating.
Exactly. And I think when you eat mindfully, it's not just about like, improving your digestion or anything. It's also about developing a healthier relationship with food.
Interesting.
It's like it's not this thing that you're like, battling with.
Yeah, you're more in tune with your body. This is making me realize how much of this is like the mental game.
Huge.
It's not just like, oh, I'm going to use willpower.
It's not about willpower.
It's like shifting. It's a mind shift almost, right?
Absolutely. And, the Mayo Clinic really emphasizes this. It's a journey. It's not a race. They're also very realistic about the fact that, like, you're going to have setbacks.
Oh, go.
You're human.
Because I was going to say.
Nobody's perfect, right?
No one's perfect.
You're going to have days where you're like, okay, I ate the whole pizza.
Exactly. Or I did not get to that workout today.
Exactly. And that's okay.
Okay, good.
Like, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress over perfection.
Okay.
And, they really encourage people to be kind to themselves,
Oh, I love that.
Give yourself some grace.
Yeah, that's self-compassion. Because I think that's, again, something we overlook a lot.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I messed up one day. That's it. I've ruined it all.
Right. And then you give up.
Yeah, exactly. When really, it's like you said, it's a journey. It's not like an all or nothing thing.
Exactly. And, view it as a learning opportunity. Like, okay, what happened? What can I do differently next time?
I love that. It's like adjusting your sails as you go.
Right. Exactly.
Not just like completely jumping ship.
Right. And speaking of adjusting sails, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about exercise.
Oh, here we go.
Because while you can lose weight without exercising,
right,
the Mayo Clinic really stresses how important physical activity is for overall health and well-being.
Okay, well, give us the rundown.
Yeah.
What kind of benefits are we talking here?
Well, obviously it burns calories.
Okay.
But it also, it boosts your mood, right?
Oh, yes.
Helps you sleep better, strengthens your heart. And they actually found that people who exercise regularly are more likely to keep the weight off long term.
It's like the ultimate multitasker.
Exactly.
What if you're not a gym person?
Right.
Like, do they have, recommendations for finding something you actually like?
Yeah, and they're really big on this.
Okay.
Like, they want you to find an activity that you actually enjoy doing so it doesn't feel like a chore.
Because that's how you stick with it.
Right. Like, if you hate running, don't run.
Don't run.
Yeah. Find something else.
Okay, so, what are some examples? What are they saying?
So, they recommend at least 30 minutes of brisk walking most days of the week.
Okay.
But, that's, a starting point.
Right, right.
Like if you love to dance, dance.
Okay.
If you like to swim, swim.
Yes.
Gardening, that counts.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever it is that gets you moving. And they even have these like little tips for like sneaking in activity throughout your day.
I love it.
Like park farther away from the store.
Oh, yeah.
Take the stairs instead of the elevator.
Yeah.
Even just like stand up and stretch while you're on the phone.
It's amazing how, like, all those little things add up over time.
They really do.
It's not just about, like, those hour-long gym sessions.
Exactly. And it's all about building those habits, right? Like making those small changes that you can actually stick with.
I love this whole approach. I mean, it really showcases how they're looking at weight loss as this whole, like, lifestyle thing. It's not just about the number on the scale.
It's about, like, your well-being overall.
Yeah, inside and out.
Yes.
It really is about, like, how do you feel your best?
Yes. Yeah.
Inside and out for the long haul. But let's get, like, down to the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
What are some things our listeners can, like, actually implement in their own lives?
Well, and I think that's like the beauty of this approach is it's very actionable. Like even those like little, those little tips about like parking farther away or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are things that you can literally implement today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't need a gym membership. You don't need, any special equipment. It's just about making those small changes.
Yes. It's like sneaking in those healthy habits.
Yes.
Without even realizing it.
Exactly.
What else, like, stood out to you in terms of, like, practical tips?
I am a big fan of meal planning.
Okay.
And I know it sounds so basic, but it makes a huge difference. It really does. When you have those healthy meals and snacks ready to go, you're less likely to, make those impulsive decisions when you're hungry.
Yes. Because we've all been there when it's like 5.0 and you haven't even thought about dinner and you're starving and like all willpower goes out the window.
Exactly. But if you've already got something prepped, it makes it so much easier.
And it probably saves you money too.
Yes.
Because you're not like ordering takeout every night.
You're not. Exactly. And it reduces food waste because,
That's a good point.
we've all had that where we buy all this fresh produce and then it goes bad.
Yeah.
So, it's good for your wallet. It's good for the environment.
It's a win-win.
It is.
Okay, but I'm going to be honest. I've tried meal prepping, and I always end up like, I don't know, it just feels overwhelming, and I give up. Do you have any tips for, like, making it feel less overwhelming so you actually stick with it?
Yes. Start small. I think that's, like, the biggest thing.
Okay.
So, you don't have to prep every single meal for the entire week. Maybe you just focus on lunches.
Okay.
Or, maybe you just prep dinners for a few nights a week.
Yeah.
And keep it simple.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be, like, these elaborate meals. It can be as easy as, grilling up a bunch of chicken breasts.
Right.
Roasting some vegetables.
It doesn't need to be a gourmet meal.
No.
It could just be healthy and simple.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good point. Because sometimes I think you see, like, those photos online, and it's, like, so intimidating.
Right.
It looks beautiful, but I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Exactly.
So keep it simple.
Keep it simple. And, remember, progress over perfection, right?
Yeah.
So, if 1 week you, like, totally fall off the meal prepping wagon, that's okay.
Start again next week.
Start again the next week. Exactly.
Right.
Don't beat yourself up about it.
It's not all or nothing.
It's not. And, another thing that they talk about is, like, identifying your triggers.
Okay, yeah, that's huge.
Right. Like, what are the things that, what are those situations or emotions that cause you to, overeat or make those unhealthy choices?
Because then once you're aware of them, you can actually, like, do something about it.
Exactly.
Like, if every time you're stressed, you're, like, reaching for that bag of chips.
Right.
Maybe, like, instead you, I don't know, go for a walk.
Right. Or call a friend or...
Or call a friend.
Right. There's other things you can do to cope with that stress instead of turning to food.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been so insightful.
It's been fun.
I feel like we really, like, dug deep into, like, the Mayo Clinic's approach to this, which is really about making those sustainable changes.
Yes.
That, like, impact not just your physical health, but also your mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's about, remembering that it's a journey, not a race. And, like, give yourself some grace along the way. Be kind to yourself.
Could not agree more.
And find those people that can support you.
Yes, that support system is key. Well, listeners, we hope you feel empowered to create a lifestyle that supports those weight loss goals. Remember, every small change matters. You
Yeah.
don't have to do it alone. And until next time, happy listening.